January 31st, 1991, Khafji, Saudi Arabia. The Iraqi army has just launched the largest ground offensive of Desert Storm, capturing the Saudi border town with armor and mechanized infantry. At 3:47 a.m., an AC-130H Spectre gunship, call sign Spirit 03, arrives overhead to stop them. For the next 17 minutes, this single aircraft will destroy 2 tanks, 2 APCs, and multiple infantry positions while taking heavy ground fire from every Iraqi unit in the city. And the way it survives reveals why the AC-130 is the most lethal close air support aircraft ever built. The Battle of Khafji is a strategic disaster for Iraq. Saddam Hussein ordered the attack to prove his army could still fight after 3 weeks of coalition airstrikes. Instead, it becomes a showcase for American air power. When Spirit 03 arrives, the situation is chaotic. Iraqi forces control the town. Saudi and Qatari units are counterattacking from the south. Marine reconnaissance teams are trapped inside buildings, calling for fire support. The AC-130 Spectre is purpose-built for exactly this scenario. It's a flying gun platform, a converted C-130 cargo plane with side-firing weapons, one 40mm cannon, one 105mm howitzer, and sensors that can identify targets in complete darkness. The standard tactic is simple. Orbit the target area at 8,000 to 12,000 feet in a left-hand circle. Keep the target on the left side of the aircraft, and rain precision fire from above. But Khafji is a problem. The town is small, enemy forces are concentrated, and they have ZSU-23-4 mobile anti-aircraft systems with radar-guided cannons that can reach 12,000 feet. Spirit 03 drops to 7,000 feet to stay below the ZSU radar envelope. This puts them well within range of small arms and RPGs, but it's the only way to safely support the ground forces. The pilot, Major Mike Winkler, establishes a tight orbit over the northern edge of town. His fire control officer, sitting behind a computerized targeting console, starts identifying targets using infrared sensors. First target, 2 T-55 tanks positioned in a defensive position near the town center. The tanks are firing south, engaging Saudi forces. Their thermal signatures bloom white-hot on the AC-130's FLIR. The fire control officer designates the first tank. The 105mm howitzer in the back of the aircraft rotates smoothly on its mount, automatically calculating elevation and lead, based on the aircraft's speed, altitude, and the target's position. Cleared hot. The howitzer fires. The entire aircraft shudders from the recoil. A 105mm high explosive shell arcs down and impacts directly on the first tank's turret. The tank explodes, ammunition cooking off in secondary detonations. Reload time, 8 seconds. The gun crew in the back is working like a pit crew, loading, firing, loading. Second tank, same process. Fire, hit. The tank's turret separates from the hull and lands 20 feet away. Total time from arrival to 2 tank kills, 90 seconds. Now every Iraqi soldier in Khafji knows there's a gunship overhead. The muzzle flash from the 105mm is visible for miles. Every unit with a weapon starts shooting at the sound. Tracer fire arcs up from a dozen positions. Green Iraqi tracers, red American tracers from the AC-130's defensive fire. The sky over Khafji looks like a fireworks display. Winkler banks harder, tightening the orbit to 3,000 feet diameter. The AC-130 is designed to turn in tight circles, keeping targets on the left side where all the guns can engage. But the tighter the turn, the more predictable the flight path becomes. The Iraqi gunners start leading the aircraft. Rounds are getting closer. The fire control officer identifies the next target, a BTR-60 armored personnel carrier unloading troops near a mosque. The 40mm Bofors cannon engages rapid fire. The cannon fires 100 rounds per minute, each round punching through armor plate. The BTR explodes. Troops scatter, the 40mm tracks them. Individual soldiers becoming heat signatures that wink out as rounds impact. This is the brutal calculus of the AC-130. From 7,000 feet, using thermal imaging and computerized fire control, the crew can prosecute individual targets with precision that seems impossible. A single soldier becomes a target coordinate. A truck becomes a grid reference. Everything is reduced to numbers on a screen and crosshairs on a display. 3 minutes into the engagement, the aircraft takes its first hit. A 23mm round punches through the left wing, missing the fuel tanks by 2 feet. The flight engineer reports the damage. Winkler acknowledges but doesn't break orbit. They're still prosecuting targets. Fourth target, another BTR. This one trying to escape north, the 105mm fires. The shell impacts just behind the vehicle. The BTR swerves, crashes into a building, the 40mm finishes it. The Iraqi air defense is getting organized. Winkler's defensive systems officer reports multiple ZSU-23-4 radar emissions. The mobile anti-aircraft guns are tracking them, trying to get a firing solution. Standard procedure says break off immediately when radar-guided AAA is active. The AC-130 is big, slow, and vulnerable. One burst from a ZSU-23-4 can tear it apart. But the Marine recon teams are still trapped. They're calling for fire support on Iraqi positions that have them pinned down. If Spirit 03 leaves, those Marines die. Winkler makes the decision, stay on station. The fire control officer shifts targets to the buildings where Iraqi infantry are firing from. The 40mm cannon walks rounds through windows, collapsing walls, silencing positions one by one. 8 minutes into the engagement, a ZSU-23-4 locks on. The radar warning receiver screams. Winkler breaks left, throwing chaff, and immediately re-establishes the orbit. 23mm rounds streak past the aircraft. Some connect. The co-pilot reports hydraulic pressure fluctuations. They're taking damage, but everything is still flying. The gunship's role is evolving in real time. They're not just killing armor anymore. They're suppressing infantry, destroying defensive positions, clearing buildings. The 40mm and 105mm are being used like precision artillery, hitting targets within 50 meters of friendly forces. 11 minutes in, the fire control officer spots the threat. A ZSU-23-4 setting up in a parking lot. Radar dish rotating, looking for the gunship. The 105mm engages. One round. Direct hit. The ZSU explodes, its own ammunition detonating in a fireball that lights up the entire block. That was the last Iraqi air defense asset with the reach to kill the AC-130. Now it's just small arms and RPGs. Dangerous but not lethal at 7,000 feet. Winkler expands the orbit slightly, giving his crew better fields of fire. The 40mm starts systematically destroying every vehicle trying to flee the city technical trucks. Supply vehicles. Command posts identified by their radio antennas. 15 minutes into the engagement, the ammunition starts running low. The gun crews report 60 rounds remaining for the 105mm, half a belt for the 40mm. Winkler tells the fire control officer to prioritize targets threatening the Marine positions. Everything else is secondary. 2 more buildings suppressed with 40mm, 1 more BTR destroyed with the last of the 105mm ammunition. At 17 minutes, the ammunition is exhausted. Spirit 03 makes one final orbit to confirm all targets are neutralized, then turns south and exits the area. The aircraft lands at King Fahd Air Base 40 minutes later. The ground crew counts 13 holes in the airframe. Hydraulic fluid is leaking, one engine has shrapnel damage. The left wing has a hole you could stick your head through, but everyone walks away. And in Khafji, the Marine recon teams are extracted safely because the Iraqi positions that had them pinned are now smoking craters. The Battle of Khafji continues for 2 more days, but the Iraqi offensive is broken. Coalition forces retake the town with minimal casualties. The Iraqi army retreats back across the border, having accomplished nothing except demonstrating that they can't operate under American air superiority. Spirit 03 was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross as a crew. Major Winkler and his team had stayed over a hot target for 17 minutes, absorbing ground fire, destroying high-value targets, and providing direct support to troops in contact. Here's why this mission matters. The AC-130 was designed for permissive environments, places where enemy air defenses have been suppressed. Khafji was not permissive. It was contested airspace with active AAA and concentrated small arms fire. The crew chose to stay anyway because the ground situation required it. That's the AC-130 mission in a nutshell. Put yourself in danger to keep ground forces alive. During Desert Storm, AC-130s flew 274 combat sorties. They destroyed over 1,000 vehicles, hundreds of artillery pieces, and countless troop positions. 2 AC-130s were lost, both to enemy fire, both while supporting ground forces in heavy contact. The AC-130 platform is still flying today, now in its J variant with upgraded sensors, weapons, and defensive systems. It served in every major American conflict since Vietnam. And the lesson from Khafji remains. If you're a soldier in contact with the enemy and you hear that distinctive sound of a C-130's turboprops overhead, you're about to receive the most accurate, most devastating fire support in the American arsenal. Because for 17 minutes over a Saudi border town, one gunship proved that precision air power can turn the tide of a ground battle. Man, even when everyone on the ground is shooting back.